Audit Committee for January 24th. Do you need to take roll call? All right, you're good. First item to discuss public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the committee's scope, including items on or not on the agenda. Any speakers?
There are no speakers this evening.
All right. Next item is the consent item. It would be our action summary minutes. What's your pleasure, members of the group?
I move we accept the minutes.
I second.
All right.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Clark. Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Next item, action items. We have election of officers for this esteemed committee. So we need to elect a chair and a vice chair to the Finance Committee. Director Wood is absent. I would nominate him. He is a upstanding member of this committee, and I believe that he should be chair of the committee.
I make a motion for that.
And while I believe that too, I wonder if anybody's vetted that with Director Wood.
Well, in his absence, I guess maybe we should cut him some slack. I would nominate the gentleman to my right, Mr. Orzali, to be the chair of the Finance Committee.
I would nominate Ted Wood, because I don't have the standards that you do. If I think that's fine with me.
Probably why he's not here.
That may very well be why he's not here. But I do think that in his absence, it wouldn't be fair to appoint him to this.
You're right. It wouldn't be.
Be fun.
Since when did you get some morals and begin to
It was-
worry about what's fair and not fair?
It was Tuesday of last week.
Okay. All right. Then would you consider just leaving the committee as it is? With myself as chair, you as vice chair, and Director Wood as,
Absolutely.
okay. Then I guess that is that. Do we need a motion to that effect?
Probably. Let's
Perhaps
put it on the
Director
record.
Saylor, you could motion that?
I
for
make a
us?
motion.
Thank you.
For that.
Do I have a second?
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Orzali,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So you show up and you get screwed in this one. No, I completely tongue in cheek. Item number 2, or our presentation item. We have a financial report through October 31. Controller Empedrad is going to make a presentation for us.
Good evening, directors, chief. My name is Ron Empedrad, controller for the district. And before I proceed, I just wanted to point out that the December 31 committee meeting will be, the committee report will be presented in the next month's meeting. So I am presenting the financial results of the district for the first 4 months ended October 31, 2018. On this first slide, the red line represents the cash balance of the district in the prior fiscal year, and the green line represents the cash balance at this point in time. As of October 31, we have $4.1 million of cash balance. Right about this time, we normally would see a negative cash balance, and when we go to a negative cash balance, the county's dry period financing kicks in. Basically, it's just a credit line provided by the county. And the only reason why we're on a positive balance this year is because we've recently received about $1.9 million of ERP financing. Plus, we have leftover money from prior year's equipment financing, and that makes most of the positive cash balance that we have right now. The next slide is a graph of the district's medic cost recovery, or EMS revenues. The red line presents our actual numbers, and we're at about $12.2 million. We're slightly ahead of our projected numbers, but we're over $2 million. We exceeded $2 million, about $2 million in excess of prior fiscal year. And compared to prior year trends, we're on a positive turnaround this year, because in last year, if you remember, we're almost always behind budget. So this year, we're slightly ahead of budget. And I took the liberty of looking at the next 2 months' results, November and December. And I'm happy to confirm to you that the trend of this trend actually continued. For December, we are at $18 million of medic revenues, and so that's about $2.8 million over prior year's results. So it looks like the trend of exceeding our revenue is holding at this point. We'll see in the next meeting if that trend continues on. This is a graph of the revenues of the district, and most of it is comprised of the medic revenues. And as you can see, we're right on track of our budget. And this is our salaries and benefits for just the general fund, and does not include the grant fund. Again, we're right on track. Looking at the next 2 months, we are also about right on track of our budget. And looking at our total expenditures, which again is comprised mostly of our salaries and benefits, we're right on track of our budget. And if you take the total revenues and deduct the total expenditures, we come up with our reserves. And as you can see again, we're right on track of our prior year reserves. And we're expecting that about June 30 of 2019, we'll end up with about $25 million of reserves. I just wanted to point out also that the July 1, 2018 reserves of $25.1 million, it's updated for our audit results. In the last finance committee meeting, this number was about $24.7 million. So we, based on our audit results and our audit adjustments, we ended up with an extra $400,000 of reserves. And finally, this is our SERPT fund, and we use this trust fund to pay for future expenses regarding the medical benefits of retirees. As you can see, this is the first time where we've suffered losses on our SERPT fund. From July 1 to October 31, the performance of the fund is about negative 3.5% for a year to date. Even though we had that loss, we actually have 14% of returns if you consider from the beginning of the fund from inception to date. So that's still a positive news. This performance is actually mirroring what's happening in the broad market out there, and we expect to see more losses in the next few months because of the performance in the market right now. And that concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Please, Mr. Orzali.
Just one question. Previously you mentioned we had received $1 million some odd from ERB funding. What is the ERB funding?
ERP funding, our financing, it stands for our Enterprise Resource Planning. In some board meeting in the past, we've presented our financing options, and the board approved one particular option with Chase financing. And so we received $1.9 million of financing, and that financing will help us finance the cost that's expected for our Oracle implementation and actually it's going live on March 1 for our general ledger, and then on July 1, we're going live for our payroll and human resources. So that $1.9 million will fund the expenses for that implementation.
Fine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? No? Mr. Empedrad, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, directors.
All right. Next item, next meeting date, February 28th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. once again. Any anticipated action or presentation items that any of you desire to see? No? At this time, then, we will adjourn. Thank you for being here.
Did you make your own? You know what? I'll send you. I'm looking for a point of contact. You can send a refund. We actually work for those. Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot of room with trees there. So I don't know if you want to put it somewhere. Some of the other stuff. Yeah.
I believe there's 6 of us.
One ticket area. Right inside. I was wondering real quick, if we go slow down.
Mr. Honey? Is Director Wood going to be here? No.
This is 4 by 10, and we made it like a living room with smoke, and I'm going to put carpet in front of it where we have kids crawl. I don't know if you guys are you running this? I'm all in. Okay.
Get out of here before he gets stuck here, huh?
Madam Chair, we're ready. Need me to reel in everybody else?
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good evening. Today is Thursday, January 24th. This is the regular Board of Directors meeting. I'd like to start this meeting with the pledge of the flag. Director Gould.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for cable cast on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Monday, January 28th at 6 p.m. and Thursday, January 31st at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. This is now the public's opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Yes, we have representatives from SEIU, USWW.
Great, welcome.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Rosalina García. Trabajo como janitor. Desde el 98 trabajo para una compañía con unión y anteriormente trabajaba para una compañía de no unión. Trabajo en el downtown, en el 300 Capitol Mall, y estoy aquí para apoyar a mis compañeros janitors que trabajen limpiando este edificio, para que ustedes, el que tenga el poder de contratar a una compañía de unión, para que mis compañeros de trabajadores de limpieza no pierdan sus beneficios como los que yo tengo en el 300 Capitol Mall por ser de una compañía de unión.
This is Rosalina Garcia. She didn't say that I'm going to say this, but she represents 45,000 members. She's our e-board for here for Sacramento. And she's been a janitor since 1998. And before she was part of the union, she actually worked for a non-union employer. And right now she's working currently in downtown in 300 Capitol Mall. You guys know where that is. And she's like, I'm here to support my peers, janitors who are non-union. And I want to ask you all here, if you had the power to decide the lives for the workers and hire a union contractor, because I really want the janitors who are currently cleaning right now this building to have the benefits that I have. Continúe.
Pues nada más quiero agradecerles que si nos pueden apoyar a que los trabajadores que limpian este edificio sean parte de nuestro sindicato, para que tengan días festivos para celebrar con su familia, como los tengo yo, para que puedan tener días de enfermedad y tener un poquito más de dinero en su bolsa para compartirlo con su familia. Y muchísimas gracias y espero que nos den su apoyo. Gracias.
I want to thank you all. And I also want to ask you to help the janitors who are cleaning right now to have the benefits that I have. I have holidays where I can actually stay home with my family. I have sick days where actually I can stay home and rest. And I also want to make sure that the janitors that are cleaning the buildings right now have the extra money that I do to support their families. And so she's saying, thank you so much, and we hope we'll get your support. So the janitors in these buildings can have a union like the one that I have. So thank you, Señora Rosalina. Now I'm going to pass our next speaker. ¿Quieren pasar, señora Leonor?
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Leonor Chihuahua.
Good afternoon, my name is Leonor Chihuahua.
Trabajo para la compañía de Unión. Tengo 19 años para SBM, trabajando en Apple Computing de limpieza.
I have been working as a janitor for 19 years. I work in Apple Computer, the building, and I work for SBM.
Ahí estoy representando a mis compañeros, a 2,000 miembros que son janitor, y soy de la mesa ejecutiva. Y estamos aquí
And I represent 2,000 members here in Sacramento. I'm also an e-board member, and we're here today
para apoyar a nuestros compañeros y pedirles a ustedes su apoyo.
And I'm here to support the non-union employers, janitors who are clean right now, and ask you for your support.
Para que apoyen ustedes a agarrar una compañía de unión para obtener los beneficios que tenemos nosotros con unión.
To ask you for your support to hire a union employer, so again, the janitors that are currently cleaning these buildings can get a union.
Gracias y esperamos su apoyo. Buenas noches.
Thank you, and we're asking you for your support. Good night. Thank you, ladies. My name is Rosario Ramirez. I work for SEIU USWW. I represent the janitors here in the Sacramento area. And since the last time we were here, we actually started talking to the janitors that clean the second floor to make sure that it's vacuumed and dusted. And I got to talk to two of them. And they actually clean two of your buildings that you guys have. And another office that is actually belong to an attorney's firm. And for the three buildings that they're cleaning, they're not getting paid by hours. They're not getting sick days. They're not getting vacations. They're not getting anything. They're getting paid $1,900 a month for two non-union janitors currently right now cleaning the second floor. They get that much money, $1,900 for the three buildings they're cleaning. They're not getting paid again by hour. They're not getting paid and they're not getting any benefits. And then we actually started talking to another janitor. His name is Miguel Ponce Hernandez, and he actually did his testimony for us. He wrote it for us, and I want to share with you guys what he wrote. His name is, "Hi, my name is Miguel Ponce Hernandez. I have been a janitor for 20 years here in Sacramento. I have been cleaning the building located at 2101 Harley for the last 6 years. I had never received a salary increase. I had never received paid vacations. I had never been paid sick days. And I want to work for a union employer at this location that will provide me those benefits. I want to get paid better because I matter, because my work matters, because my work is important. And it's really hard. It's really hard to be a janitor, and I deserve better salaries, better benefits, but also I deserve dignity." So these are the janitors that are cleaning your buildings. These are the janitors who are getting subcontracted. These are the janitors who are not getting paid by hours. And we have another janitor who's going to come and speak. She's running a little bit late. But I'd like to share. I pass around, I'm sorry, Ms. Melissa. Thank you. Ms. Melissa passed to you guys some yellow folders with some articles that we found. And one of them is from the California Workers Service, from Kathleen Vega. And she was saying that Dynamic's decision was a victory for working people, truck drivers who are cheated out of wages, warehouse workers forced to risk their health, and gig economy workers who want to be treated with dignity and respect. Many of the same companies asking for relief from this decision have already had workers come forward saying they have been misclassified, just as the janitors that clean your buildings right now. They're not being classified as janitors employees. They're being classified as subcontractors. Undermining this decision will be a slap on the face to every worker who has their rights unfairly stripped away just so companies can rake in more benefits. I shared the article with you, so please, when you have more time, you guys can read it. The second article is at the California Supreme Court ruling that quotes from a law firm, "The difference between an employee and an independent contractor is especially significant for those industries that frequently use subcontractors, especially in construction, janitorial, transportation, and delivery. For example, a construction company may classify its own workers as employees, but may use subcontractors who classify their workers as independent workers. This misclassification is a liability that will attack not only the construction company, but also result in personal liability for the individual owners and the construction companies. So we're asking you again, these workers are being subcontracted. We have passed many laws in the past to stop this. A lot of these workers who are being subcontracted not just face wage theft, but they also face a lot of sexual harassment. We go to buildings and talk to these people, and I go and talk to these non-union employers, and one of them, look, of course, I'm going to say I'm looking for a job, and the first thing he said to me, "If you're nice with me, I can pay you a little bit more." And I was in shock to hear that for a non-union employer, the first thing that you ask a person who's looking for a job is like, "If you are nice with me, I'm going to pay you a little bit more." And I said, "Okay, sir, what do you mean by that?" He's like, "We'll talk later." And then we just document the company. We started doing research. But these are the faces These are the people that are right now, especially here working, cleaning your buildings, that are non-union workers who are facing a lot of differences. And the clients right now are going to be liable for all these things. So we really encourage you to please hire a union employer that can provide these workers the benefits that these ladies have been receiving for 20 plus years, 19 plus years. Thank you. Oh, Lucila, you're here. Sorry, I didn't see Lucila. ¿Lista? ¿Por qué la última usted?
Hi again. My name is Lucila Toral, and I am a janitor. Sorry, I am a member of SEIU USWW. I am here to encourage this board to hire a union worker. A union worker? Sorry. I don't know. I'm more nervous than the other time today. Okay. I am here because we really want to encourage the board today to have a union employers as so the workers that clean these buildings have benefits like me. Thanks to my union, I can provide to my family. I can spend time with my family. I get respect from my employer. I want these janitors. I want the janitors that cleans these buildings to get respect, dignity, and benefits like me. Please hire a junior employers. Thank you. And sorry for my nervous.
Is there any questions or comments? No, I did want to say thank you. It takes a lot of courage to get up there and do public speaking, so thank you for that.
Les agradece porque necesita mucho valor para que ustedes puedan hablar en frente del micrófono.
Thank you por darnos la oportunidad de venir a hablar con ustedes.
They're saying, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk to you all.
Yes, thank you. Moving on to the consent items, are there any questions from the board or any comments?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adopt. I second.
We have a second motion. You call roll, please.
Director Sailors. Gould.
Aye.
Orzelli.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
We are going to take the action item off and discuss it at the subsequent meeting. So we're going to move on to the first presentation item. Mr. Empedrad is going to present the fiscal year 2017-18 Community Annual Report. Welcome.
Good evening, directors. Ron Empedrad, controller for the district, and tonight I'm excited to introduce to you a different kind of annual report. By way of background, in the last board meeting, our chief financial officer and our auditors presented the district's 5th comprehensive annual financial report, otherwise known as the CAFR. The greatest strength of the CAFR lies in its comprehensiveness. It gives a reader a very detailed picture of the district's financial condition. This same strength, however, is also its weakness. The CAFR is 132 pages long, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who's willing or interested enough to read the report from cover to cover. So with that in mind, the district's finance division, under the direction of our chief financial officer, Amanda Thomas, set as one of its goals the creation of a report that's concise and easy to read. So with that, we enlisted the help of Marie Jones, who provided her excellent design skills to the project. And together we gathered information from the various divisions of the district, and we came up with the district's very first community annual report. Now, the community annual report is based in part on the district's CAFR, but that's where the similarities end. As you can see, the most obvious difference of this report from the CAFR is that it is 16 pages long. And actually, you can sit down and read the report from cover to cover in just about 15 minutes. Despite its brevity, the report actually is packed with information. We provided summary, relevant financial information, and we cut out a lot of the financial jargon that you can find in most CAFRs. So the result is a report that's easy to read for someone without a public finance background. And also, in addition, we added operational statistics. We also made extensive use of pictures and graphs and trivia to make the report interesting to any reader. And we also built the report around a theme, and this year's theme is building a better fire service. And our fire chief actually made a brief remark regarding the theme of the community report. And the report, all in all, is perfect for a resident of the district or for anyone who wants to gain a little bit of insight about how a fire district works. And the report is posted in our website at metrofire.ca.gov. And for anyone who wants a hard copy of the report, we will make copies of the report available at our district HQ at the front desk. That ends my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions, comments? I just said I would have liked that when I first started. I was excited when I was reading. I was like, oh, okay, it is all making more sense now. So, yes.
Thank you for that, and this is wonderful. I mean, this is really forward-thinking. Thanks very much. I would ask that we push this to our contract city folks, to all the city council members, the general manager, so on and so forth, because I think this is really telling of the strong work that we heard last time we met and the excellence that provided, plus, the excellence and transparency. I think most of the time our citizens don't really appreciate just how transparent we really are when it comes to the finances of this agency. Despite some people's opinion, I think it's stronger than some of our fellow districts in the area. But this is really powerful stuff, and kudos to all of you and the work that you're doing for this kind of stuff, because it's one of the major responsibilities that we all share with our oath of office to be that fiduciary, party. So I'm just really proud of all of you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We do have a plan to roll out the report to to all district personnel, and fire chief will be able to handle that portion.
I'd send one to the governor.
Real quick, how many did we print?
We printed 35 of the big ones, and because the big ones are a bit expensive, we also printed 800 copies of this small one.
800?
800 copies, 650 of which are already reserved for district personnel and 150 for wide distribution.
You might need a couple handfuls first part of May.
Right?
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, directors.
Moving on to the second presentation item, Captain Whaley. We're going to, Station 101, dedication in memory of James Saunders.
Thank you, Director Sheets. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me tonight. So this goes a little bit deeper than a station dedication to firefighter Saunders. That's where it's going to start. But I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history. For those of you that I don't know, my name's Andy Whaley. I'm at Engine 27 on the B shift over in Citrus Heights. I've been with Metro Fire since the year 2000. In those 20 years, I've served as a member of the 522 Honor Guard. I was an Honor Guard commander for a long time, and I have been on the committee for CPF for the California State Firefighters Memorial. So every year I'm heavily involved with that. So I have a passion for not forgetting our members. So I came across, a number of years ago, I came across a policy that states that we'll have our fire stations dedicated in the memory of our line of duty deaths. And I kind of tried to pursue it. This was probably 10, 12 years ago, and didn't get very far. So timing's everything, I guess. And so I brought it to the attention of Chief Harms in the 522, and we've been moving forward and meeting with labor and management, and got to this point. So we actually have 22 names of fallen firefighters from Metro Fire and predecessor agencies, going back to 1936. And each one of them have their own story, and some some of them we worked with, most not, because, a lot of these go back many, many years. So, presented to Chief Harms an idea of trying to get this policy enacted, and we came up with a plan, a 5-year plan. We want to do 4 names per year. The policy kind of spells it out that there be a plaque mounted on the exterior of a fire station with a resolution that you guys put together for us for Firefighter Saunders and a picture of the fallen firefighter within the station. So we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew, so we decided we would try to do 1 a quarter starting in 2019, which here we are. So we're looking at the spring to do the first name. We decided the best way to do it would be to work backwards. That way we could involve family members that are still around of our most current deceased line of duty deaths. As I said, starting with Saunders, then Captain George, Captain DeGraff, Engineer Bob Werner, and Captain Jim Peterson would be the first 5. And so the policy was kind of ambiguous. It stated that it should be a monument with a plaque, and so I kind of wanted to show you what we came up with in meeting with all these different folks, and I've had help from a few people. Engineer Wolf, who drives the Engine 27 for me, has been helping me a great deal on this. I'm going to try to bring this up. So this is the design that we came up with. And the dimensions on that, what you're looking at is a depiction of a granite base, which is 30 inches by 24 with a 12-inch plaque. That obviously says in memorial of firefighter Jim Saunders, and it gives all the information. And this will be mounted on the exterior of all the fire stations. Now, all our fire stations are a little bit different, and so we're going to kind of take this one at a time. The idea is to invite family, invite the board of directors, the crews. We're still trying to work out all those details, but I'm confident we're going to have a nice ceremony. Have some honor guard members there, and currently this particular plaque is being made for us. The granite's being made locally in Citrus Heights, and the plaque, which the district has used before on this particular manufacturer, is coming out of the East Coast. And so I just wanted to kind of tell you guys what this is all about, show you what it's going to look like. And happy to answer any questions about this project that we've taken on.
Any questions, comments?
No questions, a comment if I could, please. Thank you for bringing this up and not getting so derailed, I guess, in a way from a long time ago. It can become frustrating when you have an idea and you know it's for the right reasons. You touched on it, timing's everything, but that's the legacy of this organization, right? And to be able to pay tribute to that and the families, because when something happens, we send a lot of resources to them right in the front end, but after a while they feel forgotten. So to be able to do something like this and dedicate it, again, it just shows that strong bond. Thank you, Chief, and your leadership to allow something like this to happen. I think it's important. So well done for not going away from it and staying with it. Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Captain, thank you very much for that presentation. And I will tell you, as having been involved in that policy, it was intentionally ambiguous because we knew we would have people coming after the policy that are incredibly bright and would have a feel for what was appropriate for the group. So I'm glad to hear you said it was ambiguous, because clearly the ambiguity provided you the creativity to come up with something that's so fantastic. So kudos to all of those that are working on this. And I can only imagine the passion that you have and just the fact that you're focused on it. And so a lot of attention, I think, is for you as well. And thank you for taking the time. These are monumental things in the history of our organization. And I would only encourage my colleagues that when this day comes that we are going to memorialize this plaque and plaques in the future, I would only hope that maybe what we could do is take our meeting on the road again. I think these are the kinds of things that are such magnitude that we go into the community where this plaque will be put in place and we have a board meeting at that location. I think that's important to kind of focus the fact that we're out in the community with a firefighter who did that every day on duty, and that we have that special meeting and we invite the appropriate press, and that we show the respect that's due, not just, let it get put up on a building and that's kind of it, and we're told it's there. Let's all be there when that family gathers to have this remembrance. And so I'm just very proud of you for doing the work, and I hope that we stay focused on this until the very last name of a line of duty death member of our agencies and predecessors is on a wall, because these are seminal events in our history. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I wonder if we might consider also putting the pictures and a brief narrative about the person on our website. Particularly, again, consider on this plaque making a reference to the website so that they could go and see who Jim Saunders was and read about his career.
Absolutely. I think kind of the sky's the limit on this. I think what we're doing here is we're setting the bar for all the names that follow, and I think that would be important, and I think that would probably be pretty easy to do. And I can look into that with IT or community services, whoever controls the website.
Well, we are already doing this with the Leadership Legacy Recognition, so that those recipients, you'll be able to go in and click on that, see who they are, read the narrative about what they did, and I think that we have the technology and the capacity. It's just something worth pursuing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Nicely done.
All right.
Captain.
Thank you very much. As you can tell, this is something that I think needed to happen for a long time. So thank you for writing that policy, and for your support. And let's never forget these people. So thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, Chief Arms and 522 for all the support.
All right, moving on to reports. President report. Director Jones did not tell me anything, so I have nothing to report. Fire Chief's report. Chief Arms.
Board members, good evening. You know, when a B shifter calls you and wants to sit down with you, it just makes you nervous right away.
Oh.
I had spent a lot of time on B shift, but I was very, both myself and Trevor sat down when Andy brought this forward and said, here's a policy that we've had a plan. We really spent some time being able to slow down and say, how do we do it right? And so that it doesn't start off with the first two, and then all of a sudden it falls off. And I'll just have to give Andy kudos for pulling it together, having a budget, what's it going to cost, not doing everything at once, and then how do we make sure that it's sustainable? So good job on that, Andy. Thank you for bringing that forward. I look forward to seeing you on the Chiefs test here soon. But anyways, and then the next thing, just to Ron and Marie and the whole group that did the community CAFR report. Again, they came forward with an idea. I'm at that point now that I do read that 160 pages and kind of understand it from the front end to the back end. But one of the things that I think is important, and another thing we'll talk about here shortly, is that consistency of information. And our ability to take it, write it down, put it into a document, as you said, is taking this to the 2x2s, to the County Board of Supervisors, out in the public in different places, cap to cap. It has a great flair to it. I think I had certain expectations of what it was going to look like, and they absolutely was above and beyond anything as far as my expectations. So again, I've learned the members here have great ideas, and a lot of times all I have to do is say, okay, yes, and move forward with it. In my report, we had a promotion effective on February 1st. Will be Assistant Chief Adam House. We had a number of people that competed for the Assistant Chief's position that was Chief Johnson's. We have selected Adam House. He has been in a training position, running training, health, and safety for about 15 months for us. And we really feel that we are moving forward and have some really good traction. And we're going to continue to keep him in that position and move forward. We will advertise here soon for a battalion chief of special operations. So we'll have interviews for that position and continue on with what has been started over there with Chief Johnson. One of the things that I gave you, which is important, there's actually another thing that's in there from the Byrne Foundation. But coming up on February 7th through the 10th is the Fill the Boot for the Byrne Foundation. I don't know if you all remember, but last year, the certain chief won the Chief's Challenge. So in your little thing that I handed out there is a little sign up for volunteers, but also the Chief's Challenge that can be done online. So if you need more copies of where other folks can go, I would appreciate any donations. I really like the other chiefs in the region, but I would prefer that trophy stays here again. So that is Saturday, February 9th from 9 to 10 out at the Sunrise Mall out there. So take a look at that. There's some more information behind there. And then the foundation also put some stuff in your packet for you. Coming up on February 21st, mark your calendars, it's our award gala. This year, they are putting together the presentations in the evening, and they've decided again to not host it here, but host it off-site again. This year, Matt Sammons is the recipient of the Employee of the Year of Suppression. Payroll analyst Robin Almeida is the professional staff, and Carmen Gandera is the EMS recipient. So we'll honor them on that day. For the group that went through and looked at the selection of it, they had an additional 15 people that was also brought forward for the awards evening. So they had an interesting time going through and trying to pick just one person, which can be difficult. We also will have 5 additional awards, Accommodation of Valor, and then company commendations that night also. Again, that is February 21st is that one. One of the other documents that you have in there is the run review document, along with a small card on the profile of the district. If you look on there is the numbers for 2018. Activity-wise for 2018, we ran about 96,000 plus calls. That's down about 4,700 calls from what we did in 2017, about a 5% decrease. Just to go along with that, there was about 3,000 less transports. That would make sense for a 5% decrease, and that's about a 5% decrease in transportations that we did. The busiest engine company was Engine 53 with 4,600 calls. The busiest Medic, obviously, but Medic 53 in the same area ran 4,800 calls. I would say, though, as you look at that, one of the benchmarks that I have always used is that a company that runs less than 3,500 calls a year is truly a very, what I would call, functional company, and that functional side being they cover most of the calls that are within their first due area, within their time. It allows them time for training, station maintenance, time for preparing for promotional opportunities. Once we see it goes over about 3,500 calls a year, pretty much when they're showing up and going to work, what they're doing is running calls. And they're running calls, and things start to drop off, and what you start to see is training opportunities. Some of the things that the captains and the crews would do on their own in the station is that they just aren't able to do that because the amount of calls that they're running. And you can kind of start looking through the list there, is that there's a number of our companies that are either at 3,500 or that are over 3,500. Probably the one that gives me probably a lot of concern is when you start looking at the medic side and the activity of the medics. And a number of them are over 4,000 calls. We have done some things as far as dispatching to try to look at the ability to decrease their workload but maintain our transportation rates. But we will have to look at that in the future as far as our standards of coverage and how many medics do we have. At 3,500, you start to see medics covering other areas, and then now you end up having a third due, a fourth due medic responding because of the other medics that are out of service. The other one that's in there is Battalion 7 was the busiest battalion and also the busiest battalion chief. Battalion 7 ran 44,000 calls. Within that battalion, they ran 45% of all the calls in the district. So if you take 5 battalions, divide them up, the top numbers on there are the companies out of 101, 102, 103, 105, 106, 108, 109, and 110. So you can just look at the engines on the very top there, And you can see the activity level just alone in that battalion. Now, interesting is 53s is outside of that battalion, but the companies within Battalion 7 are the busiest. And again, a very populated area. If you look at the demographics in there, a lot of apartment buildings. As you get away from that and population starts to go down, our call volume goes down. But again, I think that is important for us as an organization that if I had to be able, if in the future as we break these out, I would guess in some of the other areas in the district, call volume went down, but I'll bet you in Battalion 7, call volume is either maintained the same or call volume actually in that area has gone up. So throughout this year coming up, we're going to look at call volume and look at the activity level and look at our standards of coverage. In EMS 2020, the IFF is doing a standards of coverage of just our medic units. And that will be very, I think, telling for us is that what is their activity level, what is the time that they spend in their first due, what is the time they spend out of their first due as far as coverage and response. Any questions on that? And you can take a look a little bit later at the card. Again, it's our ability to take a bigger sheet, break it down. I know for me personally, I carry these with me, a lot of interactions with folks. I hand them out a lot, and it really gives just a small snapshot of the district and the activity in the district.
Chief, are you taking questions?
Sure.
On this particular document that you just referenced, is there anywhere we can pull data on how often our units respond to other agencies outside of our initial response requirements? So I'm looking at this total call volume. It looks to me like, well, I would imagine it's 190,198 according to the graph or the chart. I'm wondering how much of that, either by percentage or actual number, are requests for services outside of the 396 square miles that we respond to.
And the other part that is not on here, and the other part that's not on here is how often someone comes into the district and provides service on the other side into the district.
Right.
And with the 190,000, that's total apparatus movements. So an engine and a truck company or an ambulance on a call. I don't have that. We will look at that and we'll bring that back to the board as far as activity level.
Because I think that's a trend that we need to, as you meet with other chiefs, that's something that our agency needs to track very closely, because being the largest with, it seems to me like history has been that oftentimes other agencies may rely on the size and opportunities to use our system to their benefit. And I'd just like to watch that data so that we can have some fairly frank conversations with our colleagues.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. There's a number of ways of looking at that data. The challenge we have and that we have to be able to is that we're all counting the same thing. And part of that is if you look at apparatus and apparatus movement, sometimes what will happen is that somebody will send an ambulance to us, but they don't have enough apparatus to even fill out a first alarm response on a fire. And that it may count as one call, but we're sending 2 engines and a truck company and a BC to be able to cover those areas. So sometimes that call volume, and they just count calls and say we're giving you more assistance, may appear that way, but the reality is on larger events, a hazmat response or rescue response, any of those events that they don't have the technology, not technology, but the technical skills to do them, Metro is the person that provides it. And on the other side, there's a number of areas where the city truly is closer in a first due to responding into the district. And we know that, and we know that we can count on those companies as far as our companies also covering other areas, which keeps us from building another fire station or staffing another company then too.
Oh, I hear you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I got more.
Okay.
So I just 2 more things here to go through. One is that I've asked at the end of 18, you always think of what are your accomplishments? What are things that you've done during the year? Some of the things I wrote down was, service delivery as a priority, reinforcing the visions and the values of Metro, promotions, retirements, those opportunities. Randy Rutten started his 36th year with the district and is still going strong. our emphasis on training and support. But I thought it was interesting to ask the staff what they thought was important. And how does the things that happen every day with the staff out there, what were their accomplishments? So some of the things through support services, logistics has replaced all of our extrication equipment, our wildland saws, and replaced trash pumps that are out there. The communication side has upgraded our mobile CAD, so the communications and eliminating breakdowns and when we're opting off. The fleet provided 147 major services in 2018. That was up from 90 in 2016. So not quite doubled, but if you've been to the shop, if you look at the amount of apparatus and the movement that they were able to do. IT re-imaged 147 MDCs, which was the whole system. They did that in the parking lot in the middle of the smoke and the smog and everything that was going on at that time. And the facilities have cross-trained technicians for better response, and they had almost 1,200 facility requests that they managed throughout the year. Accomplishments for operations. What we're talking about in the ambulance is that we were able to, in September, was implement the modified dispatching. Their model has been send the right resources at the right time, and probably in the next meeting, we may come back with a presentation that has had a very positive impact on the uses of ambulance on dispatches, but has not really changed our transportation. So it's doing exactly what we would expect. From the crew side of it, what we're hearing is that the ambulances are sometimes getting a little more sleep at night, and the engine's getting up and going a little bit as they would before. Operations return to task level training, adoption of the Metro values, strengthen our relationship with the IFC and the Saudi Aramco cohort that we had, and they initiated our command book, which is writing down what we do into a command doctrine. The admin folks, prevention, they adopted the local code amendment for fire codes. HR feels very strongly that they were able to consolidate all of the side letters over a number of years with 522 into the contract. Finances, during the year, the county came to us and said we needed to assume all of the check writing and all of the data entry for payroll, and they were able to do that. And the finance department also created the community annual report. So it is funny that I wrote out things that I was thinking about, and I find myself thinking about high-level stuff, which is appropriate, but I think it's always interesting to ask the troops what was things that was very important to you, what was your accomplishments that you did during the year. So in the last thing, I know this is a long one tonight, as we move forward is to look at 2019 is time to rewrite our strategic plan. And there was a number of goals that were written out before. I guess I would challenge all of you as we go over the next few months is to think about what are some of the things that are in the district that we look out 3 to 5 years that we want to accomplish moving forward. A couple of them for myself that I'll kind of bounce out there is that we were going to have a report here soon. It's about our facilities. And the current condition of our facilities and where are we going in the future with those. And we need to look at a capital funding program of how do we look at capital assets and how do we put together a program that looks at capital funding over a long period of time and how do we move forward with that as far as capital funding. The other project that I'll talk about and we can talk about more as we move forward really is health, safety, and mental health. And a lot of times we spend time in closed session talking about injuries, long-term injuries, some retirements, early retirements. But I think there's a great opportunity for us today to be able to look at the group of either younger members that are here or the members that are PEPRA members that have to look at age 57 for retirement. I think of myself as a young person, but at age 55, if I was still on a company and I had 2 more years before I was able to be eligible for retirement, what are some of the things that I wish I would have done younger and make an impact? And again, that's kind of a long-term type goal, but I think if we would start today of looking at the health and the mental health And that whole kind of ball of taking care of our employees, now we start to set the groundwork that the next generations behind us will continue to carry that forward. So my challenge for you would be to think about those things. We'll set up I don't know if we called it the retreat or an opportunity to sit down and talk about those here soon, and think about it over the next few months. That ends my report unless you have any questions.
Any questions? No? Operations report, Chief Hine.
And good evening, Director Sheets and directors and Chief Harms. Randall Hine, Shift Commander for A Shift with your operations report. As far as total call volume, we looked at 3,493 total responses that from our last report of January 10th. And on the EMS side, we had a little over 2,700 dispatches for EMS calls at a 73% transport rate. We had 6 building fires during over the past 2 weeks. A little update on professional development program training that's been going on over these past 2 days. We had 4 sessions that were held in this very room, a morning session and afternoon session on 2 consecutive days that covered the command philosophy, and which established all the companies and crews to be able to have a common operating picture and just reinforcing that for our members. And lastly, live fire training began yesterday and will continue through April 11th at Station 52, where we're able to run our crews through actual live fire training associated with search procedures as well to reinforce being able to go in for those rescues. And so that is an update, and I finalize the ops report unless you have any questions.
Any questions? No. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Moving on to Local 522, Vice President Jameson.
Good evening, Director Sheets, directors, Chief Harms, staff. I just wanted to say also, I commend my sisters from the SEIU getting up here and appealing to the board and the administration, and I know that all of you will give appropriate consideration to their concerns. I also want to commend Captain Andy Whaley. He's got a heart for that stuff. He does an amazing job, and every year he's down there at the memorial getting everyone lined up, and to see him also bring that passion for our members here, I think it's one of those things that needed to get started and had to find the right person, and he is that guy, and I think it will continue on. Last night, I returned from Los Angeles. I was down there for a few days for our annual ALTS conference, IF ALTS conference. It stands for Affiliate Leadership Training Symposium. I get to represent those members, and it's a lot of them that Chief Harms talks about, and all the great job they've done. And it's with a lot of pride that I get to go down there and represent all the good work that's being done here at Metro Fire and Sacramento region in general. We have 522 have tried to be more involved, have gotten more involved. Starts with our past president, who's now the state president. President of 522, Ty Bailey, who had my job before, was on the stage with the general president of IFF, Harold Shapeberger, conducting a symposium on live TV for all IF members around the country and Canada. We have other members who are teaching classes. We have multiple members who are involved in a lot of different behind-the-scenes things, whether it be insurance, financial products, all different types of things that are trying to better the membership of the IFF, of 522, of this organization. And along with that comes opportunities that I think that we're looking for to bring back to not only this region, but Metro Fire. And it's really one of those things where when you get involved in this side and you get to look after the members and you get to look long range, because a lot of the stuff we're talking about is long range, and I hope and I want to represent to the board and the fire chief that the work we're doing down there I think is going to pay off for this organization in the long term. And I think the board will be very happy on some of the stuff that we're talking about and we're looking forward, whether it be in health and safety, whether it be politically down the road, opportunities for growth, for revenue, all the different things that come with keeping this organization headed in the path that we all talk about. Because I mean, I do think this place is number one, and I mean, you're not going to convince me otherwise. And finally, you know, I know, and we're out of contract and we're negotiating. But I got to tell you, I just want to let you know that I and my team and my members, we come to this we know it's a process, and we know we're going to get where we need to go. But I just want to let you know we are motivated. We want to get this done. And I know by circumstances, sometimes meetings get delayed. But it doesn't mean that we're not still motivated. And we still want to get this done. And we want to have good discussion. And I know, as I said, we will get there. But I just want to make sure we keep it on the radar. And we're moving forward and working towards the goal line. So also, Director Barnes, I look forward to being at the Pig Ball on Saturday. Thank you for all the great work you do in the region. I know you've been working your tail off on that thing, and thank you again for all you do, and appreciate that. So unless you have any questions, that's it.
Any questions?
No question, but a comment. Again, just thank you for you reaching out, and I hope the membership understands how many phone calls that you will make on their behalf, especially when it comes to contract negotiations and everything down the road. So I appreciate the voice and the explanation from the membership side when you do talk to me. The support, you mentioned Pig Bowl, so I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about it. Thank you for your support, 522 support, and being there and backing the membership to play in this game. So I appreciate what you're doing for them.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you. Thanks. Moving on to committee and delegate reports. The executive committee, there is no meeting scheduled. Communication Center, JPA, Chief Wagaman.
Good evening, Director Sheets, Directors, Chief Harms, Tyler Wagaman, Assistant Chief Operations, B-Shift Commander. And speaking on behalf of the Comm Center JPA Board, the board last met on January 22nd. We reviewed Executive Director Thuzen's contract as well as the Deputy Director Sores's contract, both of which were unanimously approved. There was also a job offer for a Deputy Director position for their administration, and there was a person chosen for that. We're just waiting to hear back on whether they accept the position or not, so hopefully I have some good news to report at our next scheduled board meeting. Our next board meeting is scheduled for February 12th. Unless you have any questions for me, that concludes my report.
Anybody? All right, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
California Fire Rescue JPA, Chief Harms.
I'll fill in for Chief Shannon. They met on January 17th across the hall. The budget is on track as far as revenue. Expenses were below expectation. Class enrollment is way up compared to past years. Over 94% of the classes are revenue positive right now. The halls in here are absolutely filled with people. They're moving forward with their plan that they have. The suggestion was to brush off their strategic plan over there and redo that in the near future. That's the end of the report. The next meeting is April 18th. Any questions?
Finance and Audit Committee, Director Kelly.
The Finance and Audit Committee met this evening. We received a report from Mr. Empedrad regarding the expenditures through October 31st, and we had an election of board officers. Well, that's all we have to say about that.
All right, moving on to Policy Committee, Director Gould.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next meeting of the Policy Committee will be Valentine's Day 2019 at 5:30, and I fully expect to be given all sorts of responsibilities because I won't be present. I'll be taking my bride to dinner in a foreign country.
All right, moving on to board questions and comments. After we conclude that, we're going to recess into closed session, but before that, we're going to take a moment of silence honoring Officer Natalie Corona. We'll start with Director Sailors.
I would just like to say thank you for everyone coming tonight, except for Director Jones, who's on vacation. I hope she's having a good time. And congratulations to the new Assistant Chief House. And that's it. Thank you.
Director Gould.
Just want to say thank you for another really wonderful night of presentations and seeing the strong work that not only our members are doing that are on the line, but also our support staff. It's really invigorating. Thank you very much.
Director Rosali.
Very briefly, I just wanted to commend the work that's being done, particularly in commemorating those people who lost their lives in the line of duty. This is important in memorializing the contribution that these people have made. So thank you very much.
Director Barnes.
Thank you very much. Just to talk briefly about, obviously, something I'm passionate about, and I tend to poke fun. But this year's Pig Bowl Guns and Hoses is this Saturday at Sacramento State University. We have a kids' safety fair, and Captain Vestal, thank you for everything that's going on with that. Metro Fire, we're going to have like a sidewalk CPR, a bunch of different things. FBI is coming in with the cyberbullying. So it'll be great for the kids as a venue. We talked about, it was a great segue regarding Remembering the Fallen. That's what this game is about, and it's the tradition of paying tribute to those who lost their lives in the line of duty. And this year we're paying tribute to 6 families, 5 law enforcement, 1 firefighter. And this is the first time that we've done this where every family is being represented by family members. So Officer Singh's family from Newman is coming up. Officer Corona, even a week after her burial, they're coming into the game. Mark Stasiak from Rancho Cordova. Tony Hinestroza from Stanislaus County. They sold 400 tickets to come. Trent Lindholt, as far as he was the fire dog from Auburn Fire. He was a player for 10 years and succumbed to his cancer last year. And I hope I didn't miss any names. I know there's 6, but it has been kind of a long week trying to get going. But as we move forward for this game, the one thing we did, recognizing with all the firefighters that they battled all the blazes throughout California, is that we as a committee came up that we're paying tribute to all the firefighters. On the game tickets, you'll see on the back that we're paying tribute. But anybody who has a fire, if you are part of a fire department, and no matter what level, and you present your ID, you get in for free. So we just want to say thank you to all the firefighters for the strike teams that had to go out and everybody had to hold the fort back home, and all the professional staff that had to make the numbers work so they can keep the operation going. But this game is special. It is the 45th annual. It is the longest running game of its kind in the United States. And if you think about the tradition and legacy, we're only 8 years behind the Super Bowl. So to keep this going and for everybody to sacrifice their time to practice, the volunteers behind the scenes to coach and keep the team and the players together to actually play the game, it's something special. But it would not happen without the support from Fire Chief Harms. 522 being behind the members allowed them to play. I thank you, Fire Chief Harms, for putting out the video against Sheriff Jones. Right before we got here, there was a counter video for our undersheriff. I encourage you to watch it. From it sounds like there's already a counter to the counter, so I look forward to seeing it. But that fun bantering is what it is. Over the 45 years, we've donated over $1.5 million to local charities. Last year, we donated 56. I had to push our committee. I said I want to donate 70,000 this year, and I think we're going to hit. We've had beautiful weather. We're anticipating 10,000 people at this game, so it's going to be a huge venue, so we're excited. Multiple agencies are participating, and it's growing the way we want it to grow. So thank everybody that's involved. It means a lot, so thank you for the time.
Gates open at?
Sorry, gates open at 10 o'clock, Kids Safety Fair from basically 10 to 1, kickoff at 1. I will tell you, if we have a 5-helicopter flyover, it's going to be spectacular. They promised me they're going to buzz the tower, and we're going to have to plug our ears, so I don't know how low they plan on getting. But from my understanding, they're going to peel off, go up, and then they're going to orbit coming down and making some noise, so it'll be exciting. Yes, sir.
Captain Barnes, can I ask you, what's the spread? That's what
50,
I thought.
I have to stay neutral. The charities win, but we'll see. You may see a fist bump every now and then. Might be accidental. I don't know if that happens, but no. Everybody that comes, it's a great time. We appreciate the support, and I encourage all the board members, if you can make it, if you're available, please join in. It's going to be a great time. I know the teams and the members of the fire team would love to see you out there and supporting them. So I have tickets for $10 for board members, or $20. Everybody else, we can move on. So thank you for the time.
All right, Director Clark.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Captain House? Chief House on his promotion. Yeah, he's a chief. Okay, and also Captain Whaley, for the work he's doing. I I kind of wonder how many fallen soldiers we've had. You know, the count of how many of our members that have fallen, you know, died on the line of duty. I also, you know, I think at some point we should have like a wall, you know, like the wall of heroes, and kind of put their names on there, you know, because that's something that we could do in the near future, you know, instead of waiting for year after year after year. So that's one thing I was thinking about. And I want to also thank everybody for the reports. There's excellent reports. Our media, if I can say that, our media department has done an excellent job with those brochures. Really appreciate that. And Chief, we appreciate the great work you're doing, and also 522 for the work that they're doing also, and getting along and working this thing out in a professional way. That's all I have.
Director Kelly.
I, too, would like to thank staff for the report, the community annual report. To distill the CAFR down to that is very good work. And I think it'll be an excellent thing to be able to hand out to our community partners and help them understand where Metro Fire is in regards to the services that we provide and how we manage the public's money. And I would like to congratulate Chief House. You mentioned he's been in training for about 15 months. I think he's been in training for about 15 years, but
Officially.
yeah. Anyhow, so congratulations to him. I will be away on the 28th of February. Somebody very important to me is having a birthday, and I wouldn't miss it for anything. So anyways, with that, I would like to address, I don't think this is the proper time to try and agendize an item, but I urge our board to agendize an item. They've been here twice. I saw an explanation that somebody sent out about how that bid went and how they asked for another job walk, but they were denied it. I need an explanation why we as an organization would not require the janitorial firm that we employ to clean our many buildings an opportunity or would not require them to provide wages and benefits to where their employees can live a decent life. I don't, you know, I've been in the labor movement for a long time. I understand fully that everything that comes out of somebody's mouth when they're talking to a board is not exactly true. So I'm not going to throw these companies under the bus or anything like that. But I do believe it'd be nice to have a piece of paper that said these janitorial firms clean our buildings. And if there's 5 or 6 different firms that we contract with, or if there's one, and you know what, I want to know who they are and how they conduct themselves. So that when somebody urges us to do something for them, we can say that, hey, our employees, you know, the companies that we employ already do these things. Right now I have no way of knowing that. But at the very least, I would urge our organization, just like you do for construction services where you pre-qualify the bidders, and maybe you did, I don't know, but make sure that we don't have people that are paying people in a contract type of situation where they're working 9 hours a day or 9 hours a night cleaning 3 different buildings, and 2 people are making $1,900 a month, which would be roughly $900 each, or $950 each, whatever it is. And I think that those are things that's, you know, we need to know. But as an organization, I think we're better people than to allow people that clean our buildings to be taken advantage of by their employers.
As Director Barnes always says, it's not fun going last, but I'm going to echo some of the director's statements. So I do want to thank the presentation items. I would like to personally congratulate Chief House on his promotion. I really appreciate the hearing of all the successes in 2018. That was really great. And I look forward to February 21st award gala and honoring the recipients. Before we go into closed session, if we can all stand to honor 22-year-old Davis police officer Natalie Corona, who was sadly lost on January 10th to a fatal gunshot wound. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
We're going to reconvene to open session. General Counsel update. Mr. Laba.
Thank you, Director Sheets. The board met in closed session with respect to item number 1 on the agenda, conference with legal counsel. Under agenda item 1A, the government tort claim under section 910 on behalf of Pamela Walton, the board took action and decided to deny that claim. On item number 1B, the board met and considered the government code section 910 claim of Megan Davis and voted to reject and deny that claim. Next, the board met with respect to item number 2, conference with legal counsel on the cases that are identified in the closed session agenda. No action was taken.
Thank you. Next board meeting is February 14th at 6 p.m. in this chambers, and that concludes our meeting.
Adios, folks.